Hey guys, I've been experimenting today with some lighting. I just wanted to kind of take you along as I do it, and we'll just learn a few things together. So I'm just going to show you the studio space. So this is here at Whitewater Crossing. And so we've got a back screen. It's all light gray. It's hard to tell in this video. We've got a black to work with. And then of course our lighting panels, 2 cameras in the back. So real quick, we're not focused on camera positioning. I will show you a top down so you can know how things are positioned. We're going to look at how lighting affects these 2 mostly front facing camera positions. So you can tell if we're looking from this angle, we're basically straight on. So in a studio of this size, we can't shoot off to the sides very much anyways. So real quick, the lighting we're working with, we've got a backlight hitting the hair. So this is an RE1K. And then it's got a daylight gel in it, and then also a diffusion on the front of it. As you can see, very kind of homemade hodgepodge. Up top is our biggest panel. It's got 4 CFL bulbs, the newer, skinnier ones, whatever those are called. Again, diffusion in front of it. And then off to the side here, we've got these 2 panels that are identical. And again, these have the CFLs, but only 2 in each on a light stand. So those are the 4 that we have to work with. All right, so let's get into it. So right now the frame you're looking at is just the center frame, straightforward. Again, we'll keep it simple. Don't worry about color and lighting and exposure. Of course, you need to dial those in for all this to look good, but we'll focus mainly on the lighting. So right now we've got a top light that I showed you. That's on right now. I've got the 2 side lights hitting me, and then I've got the back light hitting my hair. So all that kind of adds up to this kind of what I perceive as a little more of an even kind of approach. So if that's what you're going for, you don't want a lot of shadows. These side ones, because they go down a little lower, are kind of filling in shadows here. And then of course the top is giving that nice key light. The backlight is really subtle, so we'll turn it off on the next frame, on the next example. And then we'll see what it looks like. But that gives a little bit of a reflection up here and just fills in the shoulders, just subtle. So that way when somebody looks at it, they just see an evenly lit. You're not trying to communicate a lot through your lighting other than just lighting up your subject nice and soft and even. So this is option 1. All right, option 2, which is just really subtle. You might not be able to notice a lot, but I turned off the backlight. So if you kind of go back to that frame and we look at it and then compare it to this, again, subtle difference. You can always adjust the intensity of your backlight if you want something a little more intense and kind of spotlighty, but I've got that set pretty subtle. So this is option 2, just backlight. Usually if you have the option, it's nice to have the backlight unless you're trying to do something very specific. All right, this is option 3. My backlight is back on. I've got the top light, my key light on, and if you're like a big video pro and you're like, dude, you're not even calling these the right names, that's fine. I know that there's correct names for it, but this is the top light that's coming down. You can see it's a little bit directional. It's not even straight on, coming this way, casting a little bit of shadows here. I kind of like this depending on the context. It's a little more intense, a little more moody. I probably could have adjusted my exposure up a bit. There might be not quite enough exposure on my face. What that does then, also there's less light hitting my background because of these side lights. So just overall makes it a little more of an intense thing. So if that's what you're going for, one nice soft key light. So the diffusion is key here. If you don't have it and it's harsh, it's gonna look like you're interrogating somebody. So this is another option that you can go for. All right, so we're back to our all 4 lights on, nice, even, full approach. So of course the only options we looked at today were turning on and off lights. Of course you can get lots of different effects by swinging lights around, repositioning, doing very different things. But the idea in a studio space, at least in my context, is somewhere that's kind of plug and play. I can come and plop down, and I'm not trying to reinvent lighting every time unless there's something very unique. But for a quick interview, promo video, talking head, having a solid space to do that is great. The only caveat is if I have kids and then my frame is down here. So this still looks good, and this is because the side lights are lower to the ground and they're still filling in this area. But if I did not have those side lights on, it would look like this. So here's the frame for a kid with that same light. Now the problem is that light cannot move. I've got that fixed to the ceiling, and I even bumped up the exposure on this frame a little bit, but what happens now is it's more top down. They're not as close to the source, and maybe creating a little too much shadowing under here and under here. And especially with kids, you actually want it to feel a little lighter and airier. So I found that that option is not as viable for a kid as they get further away from the source. So you have to pay attention to how tall your subject is, because that'll actually change how the light interacts with their face. So hopefully this has been helpful. Comment or send me pictures or videos of different lighting options that work for you. And this has mainly been for lighting, but you could translate it for photo as well. So hopefully it's been helpful. Take care. Bye.